Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jasadanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari Jasadanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tera Vanachari Jai Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Stotra Srimad Bhagavatam Abhay Charanarinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vancha Kalpataruvasya Kripa Sindhueva cha Patitanang Pavanabhya Vaishnavabhyo Namo Namo Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 5, Narada's instruction on Srimad Bhagavatam, Text 17. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam. Tektva swadharmam charanambujam harer. Tektva swadharmam charanambujam harer. Bhajan pakotha pate tato yadi. Bhajan pakotha pate tato yadi. Yatra kova vadram abhudamushya kim. Yatra kova vadram abhudamushya kim. Kovartha apto vajatam sadharmata. Kovartha apto vajatam sadharmata. Tektva swadharmam charanambujam harer. Bhajan apokotha pate tato yadi. Yatra kova vadram abhudamushya kim. Kovartha apto vajatam sadharmata. Some of you can recite. Wait. Are, some Mataji is already reciting. Allow her to speak.
Tyakta swadharmam charanambujam hari.
त्यक्त्वा सधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्
भजन पक्वाथ पतेतो यदि
भजन् अपकोऽथ पते ततो यदि
यत्र क्व वा भद्रं भूतमुष्य किम्
यत्र को वा भद्रम् अभूतमुष्य किम्
को वार्थ आप्तो अभिजितां स्वधर्मतः
को वार्थाप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मता सर्वज्ञ गौरांग
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्
भजन् पक्वोऽथ पठेत् ततो यदि
भजन् अपक्वाथ तते पते ततो यदि
यत्र क्व वा भद्रमभूतमुष्य किम्
यत्र को वा भद्रमभूतमुष्य किम्
को वार्धाप्तो अभजतां स्वधर्मतः
को वार्थाप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मता
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं शरणाम्बुजं हरेर्
त्यक्त्वा स्वधर्मं चरणाम्बुजं हरेर्
भजन्नपक्वाथ पते ततो यदि
भजन् अपक्वोऽथ पते ततो यदि
यत्र को भावद्रम् अभूतमुष्य किम्
यत्र को वा भद्रम् अभूतमुष्य किम्
को वार्थाप्तो भजतं स्वधर्मतः
को वार्थाप्तो भजतां स्वधर्मता त्यक्त्वा having forsaken swadharmam one's own occupational engagement charanambujam the lotus feet hare of Hari bhajan and the course of devotional service apakwa immature atha for the matter of patet falls down tata from that place yadi if yatra whereupon quo what sort of va or use sarcastically abhadram unfavorable abhut shall happen amusya of him kim nothing ka va arthaha what interest aptaha obtained abhajatan of the non-devotee swadharmata being engaged in occupational service. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage. Yet there is no danger of his being unsuccessful. On the other hand, a non-devotee, though fully engaged in occupational duties, does not gain anything. All of you can repeat. One of you can unmute yourself. Maybe Akhay Naik, you can repeat after me while unmuting, and others please repeat with mute. One who has forsaken his material occupations to engage in the devotional service of the Lord may sometimes fall down while in an immature stage.
while in an immature stage,
yet
yet
there is no danger
there is no danger
of his being unsuccessful.
of his being unsuccessful.
On the other hand,
On the other hand,
a non-devotee,
a non-devotee,
though fully engaged
though fully engaged
in occupational duties,
in occupational duties,
does not gain anything.
does not gain anything.
As far as the duties of mankind are concerned, there are innumerable duties. Every man is duty bound, not only to his parents, family members, society, country, humanity, other living beings, the demigods, etc., but also to the great philosophers, poets, scientists, etc. It is enjoined in the scripture that no one can relinquish all such duties and surrender unto the service of the Lord. So if one does so and becomes successful in discharge of his devotional service unto the Lord, it is well and good. But it so happens sometimes that one surrenders himself unto the service of the Lord by some temporary sentiment, and in the long run, due to so many other reasons, he falls down from the path of service by undesirable association. There are so many instances of this in the histories. Bharat Maharaj was obliged to take his birth as a stag due to his intimate attachment to a stag. He thought of the stag when he died. As such, in the next birth, he became a stag, although he did not forget the incident of his previous birth. Similarly, Chitraketu also fell down due to his offense at the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. But in spite of this, the stress is given here to surrendering unto the lotus feet of the Lord, even if there is a chance of falling down, because even though one falls down from the prescribed duties of devotional service, will never forget the lotus feet of the Lord. Once engaged in devotional service of the Lord, one will continue the service in all circumstances. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said, even a small quantity of devotional service can save one from the most dangerous position. There are many instances of such examples in history. Ajamila is one of them. Ajamila in his early life was a devotee, but in his youth he fell down. Still, he was saved by the Lord at the end. Dear devotees, thank you very much for joining morning Bhagavatam class. We are reading a very, very important verse. I have told you, 5th chapter of 1st canto is a foundation of entire Bhagavatam. And in 5th chapter, this particular verse is the essence of the entire Bhagavatam. It says, even by cheap sentiment, if you take up Krishna consciousness and you fall down, that is best. That is the best thing that has happened. Whereas, if you are very successful in your so-called occupational duty and you have no devotion to Krishna, you have simply wasted your human life. How profound this verse is. Extremely profound. When we started practicing Krishna consciousness, my teacher Krishnan sir was in such a mood of preaching. While in IIT Delhi, we went every place. From IIT, we used to go to Delhi University, Kurukshetra University, NIT Kurukshetra. You know, there are so many places we used to go and preach. Every hostel of IIT Delhi, you know, programs after programs. We'll invite the director and make him sit, and we'll invite Professor Krishnan to give the talk. Those are the kind of mood we had. And we never thought research, PhD, anything is of any value. In fact, in 15 days, I decided that I must go and join Vrindavan temple because I liked so much those days. All those dedicated white-bodied devotees, they were so attractive. And I was ramen, and only because Sir chastised me, and that's why I continued, and I'm suffering now for last 25 years. And but the fact is that we preached. So when I went to BITS Pilani, I was not thinking, oh, I have a PhD, I have to publish so many papers and this and that. No. We were just thinking how to preach in an unknown territory. When Prabhupada Maharaj came for the first time in the campus, he saw early morning at 5:30. We used to have 4:30 our 4:15 our Mangalarti, and 5:30 from the main temple. There is a Saraswati temple, and there is a Hanuman temple inside the campus. And we had told those people in charge to play Prabhupada Bhajan. And the entire campus early morning was hearing Prabhupada Bhajan. And Maharaj said that you are very bold. So we never thought that we have something else other than to preach Krishna consciousness. I am really shocked when I see devotees who are passing out from our group. They are too much enamored by so-called research, this and that. Yesterday we saw what is the instructions of Prahlad Maharaj. The last verse fourth verse of 6th chapter of 7th canto, Prahlad Maharaj instruction to his demoniac schoolmates. And the fourth, you just see here. Now, this is the spirit by which we lived our life. And now we are getting kicked by the very people we want them to get the spirit. It says, endeavors merely for sense gratification or material happiness through economic development are not to be performed, for they result only in a loss of time and energy, with no actual profit. If one's endeavors are directed towards Krishna consciousness, one can surely attain the spiritual platform of self-realization. There is no such benefit from engaging oneself in economic development. So, we never lived any other purpose except to cultivate people, those who can take up pure Krishna consciousness. We never intended to cultivate half-hearted devotees. We wanted dedicated devotees, those who will give their life to Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We never wanted people to get lost in materialistic life. And this is the mode. And this mode is not, we have manufactured. This is Shastra Sakya. Shastra says it. Narada is chastising Vyasadeva that, yes, give up everything. Even if you are not matured enough to take up Krishna consciousness, no harm. Take up Krishna consciousness completely. Who knows? Who knows that one day you will inspire millions in Krishna consciousness. So this is the mood. Anybody who has strived hard to capture Krishna within his heart, that person, that very person only is successful. Someone sometime asked this question. We try our best when you fall down again and again. So what? It is better you try your best and you fall down. That is accepted. But going back to material life again and trying to become successful there, it is said in the Shastra, Bantasi. Bantasi means those who eat their own vomit. Suppose you have vomited something, would you like to eat it again? So, a spiritualist has vomited the material life, supposed to vomit the material life. After vomiting material life, would you like to again embrace that very much? It is not. Today I was hearing Prabhupada lecture, very beautiful lecture. Prabhupada is talking about ideal grhastha life. Those who are interested to get married, or those who are married people, you can listen this very clearly. Prabhupada was telling that he started saying about the lecture. Maybe we can have a quiz on this lecture. I will forward this. This is a very interesting lecture. Very short lecture, less than 30 minutes. Prabhupada started saying, oh, American boys and girls, Indian family system, Vedic family system, and your family system are completely different. In your family system, husband and wife and children. In our family system, there are parents, there are brothers, there are sisters. It's a big system. So, why that is necessary? Because when you have a big system, that big system will survive only when you learn how to become selfless. But now, this singular family life, once you get married, you get separated from everyone and live separately. It's a very self-centered life. That is why no spiritualist should live alone. They should live in a communion, in a community life. Because only when we lead a community life, we learn how to sacrifice our own selfish desire for a higher cause. And then Prabhupada started saying Chanakya's principle. Principle of Chanakya is that when you have a family, in that family, there is a principle how to sustain that family. Because once you have a joint family, so how that family, of course, Krishna has to be center of that family. But the Chanakya principle is that in that family, your father becomes enemy of that family if he's a debtor. If he's a debtor, debtor means he unnecessarily does loan, or he takes loan. Okay, why he is enemy? Because a son is supposed to inherit the wealth of the father. But if father is a debtor, that means son has to pay back the loan. And his life will be spoiled simply by paying back the loan. So father who is addicted to taking loan is an enemy of a family value system. And mother is an enemy. Why mother is an enemy? When mother can become enemy? If husband dies and mother's marriage, the mother marries second time. That accept the second husband. If a woman accepts second husband, she is also an enemy of the family. Prabhupada said, third one, the son is an enemy of the family if he is un-Krishna conscious, unintelligent, Buddha number one. And the daughter-in-law, the wife of the son, is an enemy. She is very beautiful. So this is Sanika Principle. Recently, one fellow wanted to get married, and I told him, please give your list, what you want. And this person handed over the phone to his father, mother. The father and mother started saying, my daughter-in-law should be very beautiful. That is very antithesis to the principle of Chanakya. And then they said he should be very well educated. Wow. And then she should be very wealthy so that she can give a lot of dowry and whatnot. And this kind of list is coming from those who have been cultivated for devotees for more than 10, 12 years. Can you imagine? So what kind of trust we can have? Sometimes we feel whether we are really preaching or we are wasting our time. I'm not blaming anyone. My objective is to enlighten each one of you and to make you contemplate. This is not pointing finger at any one of you. Dear devotees. So you can let me finish what Prabhupada said, because this is very, very important in this context. Then Prabhupada talked about your own life. I was really amused. Prabhupada said that I got married, but I never liked my wife. It is not that she has any bad qualities. She was very chaste, and but she said, I never liked her. And then Prabhupada said that he planned to marry second time. And Prabhupada said those days, male were allowed to take off multiple wives. So when Prabhupada was in search of the second wife, his father, who was a saint, called him. He said, you don't like your wife, you must recognize that is a good fortune. Because attached family life will drag you to hell. So my dear son, don't look for the second wife. Be satisfied with what you have got by Krishna's arrangement. And Prabhupada was telling how true was his father. And if he would not have followed his father now, he would not have taken sannyas. And without taking sannyas, where would have been all of us? Lila Purushottam would not have come into, he would not have taken birth. So many wonderful devotees all across the world would never taken birth. So Prabhupada was telling that family life means husband must be first class. Prabhupada was telling why husband has to be first class. That's a very, very wonderful logic. Logic is, he said, a man can easily attain mode of goodness. But women, by nature, they mostly remain in mode of passion and ignorance. So woman derives benefit simply by becoming chaste to their first-class husband. But if husbands are not first class, of course, women have to become first class. In Kali Yuga, it is very difficult to find a first-class husband. But doesn't matter, but it doesn't mean that whether husband is first class or second class or third class. My point is that woman must remain chaste to the husband, as long as husband doesn't degrade to very illicit life. Prabhupada said, when husband degrades to very illicit life, then the wife should remain separated. Okay. Kali Yuga, that which was applicable in Vedic age will not be applicable strictly. And so hence, everybody must be given equal chance to perfect their life. Doesn't matter, you are a male, female, you are a child, you are old, you are young. Everybody must practice Krishna consciousness as per this verse is concerned. Nirgrantha, in this age of Kali, everybody will lose the Vedic values, Nirgrantha. Nobody adhere to the Vedic values. So the only way we can become, or we can make our human life successful, is to accept Krishna consciousness. Like yesterday during chanting, Nalini Mataji asked a very beautiful question, said, is the chanting the only thing that we have to do? Yes, if you are able to chant purely, that is the only thing you have to do. Otherwise, the process of chanting has to be nurtured by hearing and kirtan. Because if I don't have spiritual intelligence, I cannot chant properly. And without chanting properly, I cannot be matured in spiritual intelligence anyway. And as I said, chanting, by hearing Krishna's name, we are constantly associating with all pure divine personality, the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. And by associating Krishna always through chanting, we'll derive transcendental divine qualities. We'll imbibe transcendental divine quality. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Samasate tatra sarveir. What is that? Samasate tatra sarveir guneir sura. Hara bhaktasya kuto mahatguna. Manorathena sati dhavatavai. I am forgetting the second. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana. Can somebody say what is the next stanza? I am shocked. Nobody is able to tell. Arey, Bhagavad Gita louder. The verse has been quoted in. What is that verse? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana samasate tatra. Sarveir guneir tatra samasate sura. Sarveir guneir tatra samasate sura. Sarveir guneir. Sura means divine qualities. All divine qualities would manifest when we chant Krishna's name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. When you chant Hare Krishna, then you only see your own fault. You don't see others' fault. When you chant Hare Krishna, you give respect to others. You don't expect respect from others. And so forth. So dear devotees, please make up your mind. By strong hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, if you don't value Krishna's instruction, then we have wasted our human life. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, my supreme instruction. He says, now please listen to my supreme instruction. First he says confidential instruction. In confidential instruction he says that always depend on me. Okay. And then supreme instruction says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru. Then he says, Sarva dharman paritejya mam ekam saranam vraja. This is supreme instruction. So where is it said that you have to go for economic development? No. If Prahlad Maharaj is able to reject, who was born in a demoniac family, and we are still saying economic development. And we have made this statement yesterday that other forms of life, they do the same sense gratification as we do, but they don't go for economic development. Their economy doesn't get crashed. Our economy has got crashed. We are talking about economic development, and a simple virus destroyed all our so-called economy. Now people are realizing, those who have some value. Prabhupada always said, we must learn how to live a life of the land and cows. Prabhupada wanted us to establish many farm communities. And I have told many times to many of our leaders that every temple should be associated with a farm community. Earlier time it was that is the way. Jagannath temple of Odisha, almost entire Odisha once upon a time belonged to Jagannath temple. I am from a village, and that village belonged to Jagannath temple. We used to have a Mahanta. He would collect rice, paddy, varieties of things once in a year, and will go to Jagannath Puri, hand over to the Puri temple management. But later that fellow, the current fellow, got married and he lost his values. And I think that we as a village, we will certainly, and anyhow we have left our village now. My father is in Vrindavan, my mother is in Vrindavan, and I'm here. So we wanted to donate that land also to the temple. But it didn't happen because we have no control over the land that we have now in our village. And to really dig it and hand over to the temple is very tough. And my father has to go actually, because he is the owner and he doesn't want to go. So, but we have forgotten our village. But the point here is, I can tell you, all our village people will take severe karma, because everything belongs to Lord Jagannath and they're enjoying it without giving anything to Lord Jagannath. That's very bad, very bad. And so, dear devotees, Life must be made as simple as possible. And then how we can make progress in Krishna consciousness. Just the best ideal to practice Krishna consciousness is Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva owns everything, but he lives under a bell tree. He didn't make a big palace like Kubera, the treasurer. He has a big palace. Indra, the king of the demigods, he has a big palace. For Lord Shiva, his palace is the shade of a bale tree. Under that bale tree, he constantly narrates Srimad Bhagavatam to greatest of Paramahamsas. There is a temple in South India, in Tanjavur, Lord Shiva temple. I've gone there to that temple. It's a marvelous temple, very big temple. So that Tanjavur temple, because it's Lord Shiva's temple, normally majority of the temples, they have land. Now, whenever the king built a temple, king made a provision that certain amount of land is attached to the temple, so that temple functions a natural way. Okay. But Tanjavur temple is a temple of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva cannot own anything. So this temple has no land attached to it. So how temple runs? Temple runs, these pujaris of the temple, they will go for Madhukari. They will beg. Whatever they get, they hand over to the temple management. And every day, the temple, after Bhoga is offered to Lord Shiva, there is a specific cup. They will fill that cup. And they will give you that many cups you have in your family as members. Right? So the pujaris are also maintained. And because of this, I had a colleague, Professor Satyamurthy, he was telling, because he was from that particular place, he was telling that pujaris would like to procreate many sons so that they can get bigger and a large number of pot-filled prasadam. Yeah. So dear devotees, beautiful culture India has, beautiful culture. Lord Shiva, who is so unattached, who lives under a bell tree and constantly chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Do you know the Rudra Sampradaya, the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya? Their mantra is Radhe Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radhe Sham, Sham Sham, Radhe Radhe. Okay. So, so this Lord Shiva is such a beautiful personality. More we hear about Lord Shiva as a devotee of Krishna. I have given you the example when churning happened, Samudra Manthan took place, Devasura Sangram, and to stop that there was a truce in Samudra Manthan, Kshasagar Manthan, and then Lord Shiva was asked by Vishnu to drink the poison. Because when poison came out, it appeared that the entire world will be destroyed. And when Lord Shiva heard that Vishnu wants him to drink the poison, he became so ecstatic. He said, wow, I've got a devotional service, opportunity to perform devotional service. And he drank the poison. And that's why his name became Nilakantha. Nilakantha. My chacha, my one chacha's name is Narayana. The other chacha is Nilakantha. Nilakantha. So, Nilakantha means because he drank the poison and he kept that poison in his throat. And his throat becomes blue by the effect of poison. This is Lord Shiva. He teaches us how to please Krishna. I gave you the example of how Lord Shiva came to see Krishna. How Krishna obliged his best devotee with a divine darshan. So this, in fact, Mother Yashoda could not believe, because she was getting scared by looking at Lord Shiva, because he has, ghastly form in the sense of, he has all these, dust on his body, the ashes on his body, and the snakes, they are hanging from his neck, and they are all, sitting. But Krishna, as a baby, is just, he's just in ecstasy, seeing his best devotee. Best devotee. So, Lord Shiva, you know that we have this Chakleshwar Mahadev near Mansiganga in Braj. And so near Chakleshwar Mahadev, Sanatan Goswami, because every day Sanatan Goswami would do Govardhan Parikrama. And as he was doing Govardhan Parikrama, he will, in Chakleshwar Mahadev, he will sit there and chant his rounds. But there were a lot of mosquitoes were there. And so he could not chant, he could not concentrate chanting. So he decided to leave. And next day, that place had not a single mosquito, because Lord Shiva was enjoying the pure chanting of Sanatana Goswami. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dear devotees, please do not waste your human life. Hear about devotional qualities of many wonderful devotees. Through Bhagavatam, we'll get to hear them again, again, and again. Today in the evening 4:50, I'm going to speak about how to please Krishna. This will be a very important lecture, how to please Krishna, right? Because this is what is our spiritual life, how to please Krishna. And so please, those who are free at 4:50, mark your calendar and join the program. So I will stop our discussion now. If you have any question, please ask. Hare Krishna. No question? Why there are no question today? Sir, today was our quiz at 4 o'clock, but it get postponed. I now understand it's Krishna's arrangement. Chiranjit, Haribol. Okay. Srila Nikita, Srila Prabhupada said, when you serve Krishna, if you have no love for Krishna, you cannot serve him very nicely. And Krishna also does not accept your service if it is not done in great love and affection. But when we start bhakti process, we don't have more love and affection to Krishna. So does Krishna not accept our any offering? That's a very good question, and that is why you should hear today's how to please Krishna. That is why Krishna says that direct service to me is not as pleasing to me as serving the devotees. So that's why we should serve devotees. If devotee is saying something, please do it. Devotee has started a center, like I sent Madhusudan Mukund to Dehradun. And then he went there. And anybody who supported him, assisted him, they are getting more benefit than Madhusudan Mukund. And this point I am going to discuss today. Wherever we assign some devotee, some service, and when people come and assist him or her, then they get more benefit than the person who was assigned with the original service. That's why serving devotees is very, very important. And by that process, we will very quickly, what is now in our neophyte state, we think that I am a very advanced devotee and I will serve Krishna directly. That is the biggest stumbling block in our progress to Krishna consciousness. That's a nice question. Chiranjit Rai, you said that we have a unique Sarupa, but you also told that we can take any form to please Krishna. Did I say that? No. What I said is that we have a specific Sarupa, but in that Sarupa, our original Sarupa is that once you become devotee of Krishna, you have a original Sarupa of a human, because Krishna has a divine human form. And a human, as a human, a divine human, Krishna accepts, enjoys his pastime with other humans. That's natural. So the Gopas and Gopis, everybody's human. But then they have a mood to serve Krishna as a flower. So by their own desire, they have mystic potency. They can become a flower and reside at the lotus feet of Krishna. Sometime they may like to become a gentle breeze and give happiness to Krishna. So that's completely a very high level understanding. But as of now, you just understand that we have a specific Swarupa in relation to Krishna. That's a definite Swarupa. Amrut Panda, you said if Prabhupada would have remained attached to family life, many wonderful devotees would not have been burned. Why would not have they burned? I don't know what is your question, because it is Prabhupada who gave us birth. I am surviving in my spiritual life for last 27 years. And your material birth has nothing to do with your spiritual birth. You know, the other day I was telling Madhusudan Mukund Prabhu told me, this devotee Saranga Thakur Prabhu, Sarang Thakur, he was not initiating anyone. And he was a very exalted devotee. And then when he was pressurized too much that he must initiate, then he said, okay, fine, because you are all pushing me. So tomorrow, early morning, whomever I see, I will initiate him. So he went to Ganga to take bath early morning, and he saw a dead body. And then in the ear of the dead body, he chanted, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then he came back to life. And that dead body was actually a body of a young man. And when he came to life, his family members were nearby. And they said, hey, my son, our son, our son, our son. And that fellow didn't look at them and looked at Sarang Thakur and said, he's my father. He's my father. So this is the meaning of our birth. Our physical birth has no meaning. We have taken trillions of physical birth. Our real father is he who gives us spiritual intelligence. Okay. Pawan Goel, you talked about strong hearing. How do we regularly practice this? Whatever is spoken, to internalize that, to accept it. My teacher is saying, I must follow it. Not to become a rebel. Teacher is saying something that is good for you. Krishna empowers a teacher with mystical potency. And of course, it cannot be forced. It has to be voluntary. So student has to voluntarily accept whatever is taught, whatever is being instructed, the student must be able to accept it. And then there will be progress in leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. You know, it's amazing. I see Prabhupada disciples from a different alien culture, how quickly they progressed. I don't know how many of you have really understood this. You know, completely alien culture. The amount of progress they made in leaps and bounds is just amazing. It's because they just follow Prabhupada. And none of you are actually witness to all those white devotees who are living in Vrindavan. And that's after 94, Vrindavan became a completely different temple. Vrindavan is not the Vrindavan now. And we have seen, you enter into Prabhupada quarter, there is a serenity, there are people practicing. You go to the temple room, there are devotees sitting there and practicing. And there are hardly any visitors. Nowadays, you know, in Krishna Balram temple in Vrindavan, you cannot even enter during the Kartik and like that. Purushottam month. And In those days we have seen how these devotees were so dedicated. And they made leaps and progress and leaps and bounds because they followed. If you cannot follow, then there will be no progress. I wanted all my students from here, wherever they go, they must preach strongly. And very few have this attitude. Dilip Kumar, sir, what happened when a devotee falls from his devotional service? How he can recover first to come back to his original position? Krishna is in charge, don't worry. Krishna is in charge. Krishna will again bring him back to spiritual life. Prabhupada had a very wonderful disciple. His name is Sudama. And he was serving in the Berkeley Temple and in the, the Bay Area, San Francisco. And he was very, very smart. But at some point of time, he didn't go well with his fellow devotees. And then he left the movement. Prabhupada was crying. Prabhupada cried for everyone who left the movement. Prabhupada felt for each one of them very, very dearly. And then, and of course, later long after Prabhupada left for the spiritual world, Tamal Krishna Maharaj once found Sudama Prabhu in a ditch, falling in the ditch. That means he was so degraded. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj picked him, took him to the temple, and again Sudama Prabhu started practicing Krishna consciousness and left his body as devotees were chanting all around. So, have trust in Krishna. Vinay Goyal, in Krishna book we read that the cowherd boys were incarnation of different demigods to associate with Krishna. But also we hear that they were all eternal associates who came from Goloka. How to understand these two statements? You see that in Braj, many are eternal associates of Krishna, like Sridhama, Subala, Madhumangala. These are all, Raktak, Arjun. These are all his eternal associates. But then there are some who were practicing Krishna consciousness many times. They have perfected the life and they have got an opportunity to associate with Krishna. They also came. And also there are some who came from demigods, a demigod planet. So many sources. So in Braj, there were devotees who were eternal associates. There are demigods. There are sadhakas who have perfected their life. So all mix is there. But all of them are qualified. They have got an opportunity to associate with Krishna. They must be special. Everybody cannot come and participate in Krishna Lila. I think I finished. There is nobody. Okay. So we are done. It's 10 o'clock. Thank you so much, very much. I may see some of you in 4:50 class, but we will continue our 8 o'clock chanting anyway. 4:50 class we will have, but 8 o'clock chanting we will not miss because this is Purushottam month. Please join and don't feel troubled that so many activities in Krishna consciousness is happening. We must continue always because a teacher's job is to engage everyone in some activities related to Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, you will remain in touch with Maya and then you'll become such a nuisance because Maya can pollute anyone. Even the man of intelligence can degrade to any extent. So don't. Array morning Bhagavatam class हुआ, फिर 4:50 there will be a class, and 8 o'clock again another chanting. You should not think in that way. Okay. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpataruvasya kripa sindhuveva cha patitanang pavanebhyo vaishnavabhyo namo namo. Ananta koti vaishnava vrinda ki jai. Samaveta bhakta vrinda ki jai. Samaveta bhakta.